G'day guys, how's it all going? So in the last few videos, we've been looking at loops quite extensively, and we've looked at the loop expression, and we've looked at the while construct, and basically we've gone through some complex examples deliberately. Now, the reason why I say deliberately is because I'm about to show you something really, really simple to get the same job done as what we were doing in those videos. Now, I'm going to stick with a single array just for this for the moment, but just understand that the same concept would work if we were to do nesting. But what I'm about to introduce is something called the for loop. Now, when we were doing the whiles and we were doing the loop expressions, we constantly had to keep track of indexes and counts, and we had to compare those indexes and counts against each other to find out if the loop should finish or not, right? But when we think about it, we really just want the loop to end when the last record in the array, in this case, ends, right? We don't want to keep track of all those indexes and counts and things of that nature. So Rust has a construct called the for construct, right? The construct, sorry. And it's for a for loop, right? And a for loop is quite common in most programming languages, but this is definitely very useful in Rust when we want to process, things like arrays, right? So basically, you type the word for, like I have here, and then I say, okay, I want to give a name of a variable for each individual item that's in that array. So because this is a player scores DB, this is really a player score or a player score record, right? So I'm going to call it a player score record, like so. And then I use the keyword in, which is to indicate I'm going to grab this record in something, right? And the something is going to be our little scores DB up here, right? Our little array. So what this is saying is for each time that we iterate through this particular DB or this array here, I want to take the current record that we're currently at, right, without specifying by index. I'm going to iterate and go through each one of these. And for each one, I want to store this value in this record variable for that iteration of the loop. So I'll just finish it with the curly braces. And then basically now what we have here is access to a tuple, right? In fact, if I highlight, you can see this is a tuple of I32, I32. So we can then get what we want out of that tuple. Now, I'm not too fussed about this player ID for this particular example. What I'm looking for is the highest score, okay? So I'm just going to add a variable outside of that loop, and I'm just going to call it highest score, and I'm going to make it mutable. Oops. Highest score, and I'm going to set it to -1 by default, right? Which means it should be lower than any of these scores. Got it? Now I'm going to grab that player score. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to destructure that tuple that player score record is. So to do that, I'm just going to go let, and then in the destruction of the tuple with the round braces, I'm going to use an underscore for the first value because basically I don't care about it. And that is how we handle variables that we don't care about in a tuple. We can use underscore, and Rust won't complain. They'll say, oh yeah, you've assigned something to that first argument. You've assigned an underscore. That's usually the convention that we use. But the thing that we want to access here is the player score, which is the second argument, right? I'm going to set that equal to that player score record because that's the tuple. Cool. Now all I need to do is just go if player score is greater than the highest score, then highest score is going to be equal to player score. Cool. So basically, with a very simple loop, we've achieved exactly the same thing we did with both the loop expression and the while loop. All right. Now let's just finish this off and actually print it out at the bottom here. So I'm just going to go print line like so and go highest score is highest score. Now, if I run this code, we should get the highest score is 97, like we did previously in a previous video, right? But look at the code here. Look at how much we've saved, right? And we can go one step further here and actually get rid of something else as well in a second. But essentially, we didn't have to have any indexes. There's no counts. There's no nothing, right? We literally just had one for and one if condition. Now, this line here, line 17, we've destructed this player score record, which we got from this for, right? Well, this is not really necessary to do this. We can actually destructure in place exactly what we want, right? So now we don't even need this line, right? And this will run exactly the same. So we've destructed what would have been a variable there to get the player score, right? And the code returns the same result. Cool? So that's a very simple for loop for processing a simple array. Now, people might be asking, can you do like you can in things like JavaScript and C# and things like that? Can you go for I equals 0, I is less than length, blah, 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 right? The answer is yes, you can, right? You can do something like this. For, and we can say player score index, right? In, and when we can do, what we can do is specify the minimum value, which is 0, to the maximum value with double dots, which in this case is player score db.length. So what we've done here now is we're saying create a range between 0 to the length of the array. And normally you'd say -1, right? So I believe that needs to be in parentheses. So let's just make sure we do that. So go from 0 to the length -1. So this now will be 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is now 0 to 9, right? Once we do that, we can now print the score index out. So let's just quickly do that anyway. Print line, score index is player score index. Cool. And I'll just get rid of this last print line for a second just to indicate that it's going to print out 0 to 9 here. So let's just run this program. And now you can see score index is 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way down to, well, it goes 8. So I think it's because there's 9 records here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Ah, I am wrong. That's interesting. So I was under the impression that that would be 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 0 to 9. Yes, sorry, my bad. This is actually excluding the last number. So I don't need the -1 here. That's the bit I always get wrong with these loops. So it's inclusive on the left, it's exclusive on the right. So this length would be 10. So now this will be 0 to 9. It will iterate from 0 to 9. It won't include 10. It's just a little gotcha that I always get picked up on with Rust. So I run this again just to confirm that. Yep. And there you go. Right. So even I make mistakes sometimes, but yes, you can do that. And then obviously, instead of using len, we could have, for example, used 6, right? 0 to 6. So now it should print out score index is 0 all the way to score index is 5. And let's just quickly see that in action. So I'll just run this. And there you go, 0 to 5. Cool. Now, if you're wondering, yes, you can still use labels. So let's pretend for a second that this is an inner loop. We can still break out of here and go, I don't know, something like outer loop, like so. And we can define up here an outer loop with the colon and save. And what's going on here? Oh, I spelled it wrong. Okay. And then in this situation, right, we're getting out, right, after the first change. So obviously the code's not going to work the way we intended. Oh, sorry, one second. Get rid of this for loop. and put the print back in. And if we run it again, you'll say highest score is 30, right? Because the first time it's gone in, it's broken out of the loop. But this is just to indicate that, yes, you can still have nested loops and you can still get out by using labels. Cool? It's the same as a while, same as a loop expression. And yeah, basically what I would say most of the time is you're going to use a for loop in your code. You know, but so therefore it has the same behavior. Okay? So that's for loops. And that's all I'm going to say for this video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.